I want to ask a question. It's not even in the handout, but we talked about this. When our kids were younger, we had a son, and his very best friend was a girl. Now he gets married. His best friend can't be a girl any longer. Okay, so tell me how that, because there's a lot of people that are married, but like the wife is like, oh, but my best friend is my next door neighbor. So can you talk to that?
Yeah, so this was a bonus question. As you can see, it is not in your handout. And this is one that we literally just came up with, if we're being honest, like an hour ago. And we were like, you know what? This is totally different. That's a totally different question than we've really dealt with all day. But it can be a real question, and people generally ask this question. Can Christians can have genuine friends of the opposite sex, and how do you navigate through that, right? And so I thought of several questions. I'm not going to answer that question and say yes or no, but I will give you some guiding questions that I would encourage any spouse to ask themselves if they're trying to figure out whether or not this particular person should or should not be a friend, and they are of the opposite sex. The first one is my spouse comfortable with this friend, right? If my wife is not comfortable with a friend, she has a reason to, right? And assuming that she's not like this overbearing, insecure, jealous person, she's a normal, rationally minded, sane person, which she is. If she has a problem with someone, then that's it, case closed. My allegiance is to my wife first and foremost, way more than it is some childhood friend or somebody I had in college or something that was a friend of mine. So if my spouse is not comfortable with this person, I'm not going to ask too many more questions. That's it. The second thing I would say is, are they aware and comfortable with your interaction with this person? So let's say they're comfortable with you having this friend, but are they aware of how much you're interacting with them? And are they comfortable with it? Are they aware that you all text all day long, right? Are they aware that you all talk on the phone for hours and hours a week? Are they aware of that? Are they aware that a couple times a week you're at work and you all work together and you all just grab lunch because you're both at work and you just typically go down to the cafeteria and you eat lunch together? Is your spouse aware of this? And if they're aware, are they comfortable with it? Another one was, is this someone you used to be involved with? I mean, that's an obvious one right there, right? I mean, if this is somebody that you used to be physically involved with or emotionally or romantically involved, then I would say that's probably not somebody that you want to be, friend with, because that could create some confusion in your marriage potentially. Another one is, are you affirming your relationship with your spouse in your communication or in your interaction with this opposite sex, or do you find yourself kind of shrinking back? Are you quick to say, oh yeah, my wife and I, we went to Mexico, or hey, my wife and I do this, or yeah, my wife and I did a Bible study, or my wife and I, right? That's safe. That's what should be happening. But if there's something in your mind where you're like, I don't know if I really want to talk about, because there's something going on in your relationship that maybe you're not comfortable affirming your relationship with this person, that could send a message that, maybe some things aren't right. Are you confiding in this person things that your spouse would be uncomfortable with? Are you sharing things with them that, quite frankly, if your spouse knew that you were telling them these things, they would be like, well, why are you telling us private things about our relationship? And by the way, that can be very dangerous, because if that other person is also married and they're disgruntled, and you're married and you're disgruntled, and now you have two people who are married and disgruntled and they're sharing their feelings with one another about how they're disgruntled, that can open up the door for temptation, because it's like, oh, this person gets me, they understand me, things like that. Are you confiding in this person things that you should be telling your spouse? So that is a huge one, right? Because you should be actively working towards developing intimacy with your spouse. But I don't know if you're a man like me, we only have so many words per day, right? There's only so many words that I have available to me per day. So if I use up half of those with some girl that I'm talking to or texting, I don't have much left to give to my wife, right? That's why online dating never really worked well for me, because you have like 5 people you're trying to communicate with, and like after like the third or fourth one, you're like, I don't even know, I don't have the energy to even talk to this one, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I should be making sure that the more I'm talking to this other person, the less likely I'm going to probably want to talk to my spouse, my wife. Are there problems in my own marriage that might make me more susceptible to temptation? right? I have to be sensitive of that. Is there something going on in my relationship with my spouse that I know is going to make me more prone and more tempted to have this side connection? And then a couple more. How would this look from people on the outside? People know I'm married. People know I'm a minister. People know these things about me. They know you're married as well. But what is it going to look like if they continually see you at lunch, joking, having a good time with somebody who's very attractive, who's of the opposite sex? How's that going to look when they know you're a Christian? And it's not your husband or your cousin, it's not your sister. This is somebody else, right? And also finally, do you have healthy boundaries set up with this person, right? Are you flirting? Is there too much communication? Things like that. Do you find yourself imagining this person? Do you find yourself missing this person whenever you're not around them? Are you beginning to feel some sort of attachment with this person? Do you start looking forward to the next time you're starting to be around? All of these are things you really got to pay attention to. Oh, I can't wait to see this person. I can't wait because that means your heart is slowly being aligned towards somebody other than your spouse.